This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. I'm Amber, and today my gorgeous co-host is Ms. Bridget Hill. She is the founder of the Root Cause Scalp Analysis, a certified trichologist, and an inventive colorist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Amber.
Wait, okay. So, and what do you mean by an inventive colorist? I love this.
Well, I think, I hated color when I originally went to beauty school, which I find so fascinating. I had no interest. I really wanted to be more of the editorial side. Like I envisioned myself being on sets with like the celebrities and the models and collaborating with, fashion designers. And when I started my assistantship in New York at Garin and Henry Bindle back in the day, I had to work in the color department for a day, and I was none of us. We were like the fancy, celebrity stylist wannabes, right? We didn't want to be mixing color. I had got stuck in the color department because I was the top assistant at the time, and it was life-changing. And I realized I'm a science girl. The mixing, I had the most amazing mentor, Renee Petronic, who is a fabulous colorist with John Frieda for many years. And she introduced my world and opened my brain that I'm a thinker, I'm a calculator, and I recognized that I enjoyed the challenge of making healthy, beautiful, shiny hair that doesn't look like it's colored. And back in the day, that was the goal, right? To like look like you don't color your hair. So
yeah,
I have lots of tricks up my sleeve that got me into being an inventive hair colorist.
I love it. I think I'm going to start calling myself an inventive podcaster. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's so funny when you talk about hairstyling. So my when we started this podcast, I started with a co-founder, Ryan, who was an incredible and is an incredible stylist and colorist, and did my color, was my best friend, and did my color for 12 years before he moved out of the city. One, I had no idea how expensive it is to have your hair done because I never paid for it. Two, he was so good because you're right. It was the color that you couldn't tell that I was having color done. But it's funny when I talk to hairstylists, generally most people, it's like, what's your favorite thing to do? And 99% of them are like color. So I think it's funny that you were like, I did not want to be doing color, but then you just love it because it's like that instant transformation, right?
I think for me, it is more about, I love the fabric of hair. I'm really, my premise, even my motivation for hair is still like health driven. So I'm fascinated with like children's hair color. And I think that I've always, no matter how the trends have gone, right? The products, the formulations have gotten so great where you can do crazy, weird things that you couldn't do 20 years ago without damaging the hair. So this new wave of amazing talent are really into like all the faux colors and all this green and pink and fantasy hair, where I am still very much rooted in just beautiful, gorgeous, healthy hair. And no matter how much I try to get myself out of that window, I love beautiful, healthy hair. So initially, I thought I loved the aspect of like manipulation and styling and creating fantasy.
Did you want to do like some of those crazy hairstyles?
I did. Yeah, I thought I did one of those moments of fantasy, like playing dress up. And I recognized, no, I love the fact of being able to put these chemicals and do these services to this beautiful fabric and either enhance the quality of the fabric or maintain it. So that really led me honestly into this health of hair and trichology and all the wellness and I'm like the pretty shiny hair girl that turned me on.
I mean, well, you're just like, I feel like you are a pretty shiny person in general. I can feel the love and the warmth radiating. So positive. It's so nice.
Thank you.
And yeah, listen, it's so, hair is something that I think from the time that we're little, like we care about, but it's crazy because more and more as I get a little bit older, I'm now in my 40s, I am hearing so much more about hair loss. I don't know if this is something that was as common or maybe it just wasn't talked about, that's it. It wasn't really talked about when I was younger. Like I try to think about my grandmother and I wonder like, was this going on there? Did you just not talk about it? Probably you just didn't talk about it, right?
I think it's a combination of both. Let's just start with the second one first. Absolutely right. The conversation, your hair is gorgeous, by the way. I forgot to tell you that when we got in an early conversation. Beautiful. I love me a good brunette girl with some shine on there.
So,
shine, brunette.
Thank you. You know what? It was COVID and my friend moving away. So I used to do highlights. And then when he moved away, I just stopped. And my husband actually likes it dark, but there's something about like a beautiful highlight because it's like, it's like your natural, it's like a ring light around your face.
Yeah, we
essentially.
walk around. I say we walk around with like the halo, but I
Yeah.
love around. But to get back
Thanks.
to what were we talking about?
We were talking about the fact that that people aren't talking
yes.
about.
So I think it is a part of people don't discuss it because the reality is that why would you go around talking about, it's an embarrassing thing, right? Is it falling out? I think stylists also are uncomfortable with the conversation because you're entrusting us as these experts. And when we see a client's hair falling out, we immediately don't want to be able to draw attention to something that we may not have answers to.
Right.
So I think that was something that was established. But I also must admit that there is a change and an increase of hair loss for many reasons, not just COVID, pre-pandemic, I even saw it, but definitely post-pandemic. The levels of stress and lifestyle, I think, make people connect to just a true aspect of health and just, oh my gosh, stress and hair loss. But also, I think that, people weren't in a position to necessarily understand that our diets, our foods, our world is changed. We look electricity all around us. There's energy, frequency waves. So this is my personal opinion and kind of like my little wellness kind of spirituality, just reality that the world is shifted. Life is shifted. We are using more hot tools and we have more access to all of these other tools that are great when used properly. So you have a combination of mechanical damage because we have so many tools accessible to us, a combination of, you're right, not talking about it because it's taboo and it can make people feel insecure or less beautiful. And, partly then just the not awareness or paying attention to it, for sure.
I mean, you brought up COVID too. As an expert in this field, I remember hearing that they were saying that there was some hair loss with COVID. What was your thoughts on that?
The reality is that anytime the body goes through any major shift, it's just, look, hair is a non-essential tissue. And I always kind of start with this to get people not to be ashamed.
To the body, not to us, okay?
Yes, right? Not right to the body. Let's to the body, not to us, but to the body. These magnificent machines that are designed to recreate and regenerate and to really heal. Bodies are designed to be healing machines. And so when it needs to heal, the first thing it's going to go from is in its brilliant design is to go from the things that don't require for us to live. And it's going to be our hair. The next, maybe even aspects of our skin when we get into breakout. So your hair, the deterioration of your hair, or the quality of your scalp, or the dryness of your scalp, ultimately is going to be dependent upon what's happening inside your body or on top of your body.
Right. To me, I'm just thinking, and I'm sure everybody listening, you've been out in the world and you've seen a woman with very noticeable hair loss. And to me, I just feel like it can be heartbreaking because it is something. I've had friends who have dealt with it. I've seen family members who have dealt with it. I had alopecia areata. I lost during a very stressful time in my life, a round patch of hair, literally right here at the front. So that's why I side part now. But it is something that we really just are so. It can really just affect us in so many ways. I'd like to talk about how you went from color to trichology. And maybe before we do that, can you explain to people listening who might not know what trichology is?
Yes, for sure. So trichology I like to introduce it as a paramedical science, meaning it is designed to go along with other medical practitioners and other medical fields. So we're talking nutritionists, your dietitian, your general practitioner, your endocrinologist, your oncologist. So it's a science that studies the hair and scalp abnormalities and problems and conditions. That's, again, aligned to be not just as a independent study, but we work alongside the cosmetologist, your stylist, your colorist, and then work to make those connections in the body with the other aspects of your life, like your nutrition, your stress level. It's a very intimate way of bridging basically dermatology, cosmetology, and nutrition kind of all in one, if that to get the best head of hair.
You know, it's funny. I'm seeing so much of this lately too. And I don't know if it's, I'm just maybe attuned to it more, but I'm seeing, I feel like really in the past couple of years in the beauty industry specifically, there has been a real shift to focus on the scalp. So I know right in my bathroom, I have a living proof scalp thing, but I'm seeing a lot more of that, a lot more products that are really designed, not necessarily for the hair and the damaged hair, but that are really targeting a healthy scalp. Have you noticed that too?
Of course I have, hence why I became a trichologist. And also I think the reality is the scalp is so understudied. So
Mm,
we now this fascination with the beauty, like you look good, you feel good, right? You were talking about that, just the psychological impact that hair loss or thinning hair or even flaky scalps can bring to someone's confidence. So I think that movement and that awareness of people talking about it more is forcing science to go in and start examining and putting real research into scalp health. Because scalp care and scalp was such a, again, hair is non-essential tissue. People really, science never really put energy into diving deep into the scalp. And it's so it's a complicated organ. Every hair
yeah.
follicle can have a different DNA or RNA. So the research and the R&D, you have to be so in depth and so to the minutia of what's happening, and it's misunderstood. So that's what it really wasn't talked about. Finally, science is catching up. There are lots of great developments in terms of prescription. A lot of these, in fact, a lot of the solutions just come to us by doing research, honestly, with men, sometimes most male dominated conditions. When they go through trials or they go through something with a drug or topical or some type of just medical product, they find out it has positive results on the scalp and hair. And that is what's pretty much led the hair loss movement and development, is just by happen chance, they discover, oh, we're doing this trial on this drug and this guy grew hair.
Right. And you know what? I'm sorry. You just touched a sore point, because I always say if men had to get mammograms, they would feel like, a tickle of the balls. Sorry to be that way, but like,
Oh my God.
so much stuff comes from men that like and women, I feel like we're so sometimes left behind.
You're
Sorry.
preaching my language. You are a goddess, Amber. Yes. And I think we have to have more of that conversation as women. I think it's important for us to be advocates about our health. And that's one of the reasons why the root cause scalp analysis I developed that, because I really am in tune with, if your scalp and hair is being affected negatively, there's something internal going on with you. So for me, I look and hope to advocate as this platform grows, as I grow in this career and in this space, is making that attention to being preventative with issues that plague women. So I'm so glad that we're discussing this, because to me, when I see a client, even though I want to be able to make that fabric be beautiful and that scalp to be balanced, most importantly is like, how are you doing? Like, it
Yeah.
makes us have to have those conversations. What's going on? What are you eating? When was your last blood work? Any scalp and hair imbalance is always something underlining. And it doesn't have to be extreme, right? It could just be you're stressed. It
Well,
could
do you think,
be
are you wearing a baseball hat every day? Or are
exactly.
you wearing, it's so funny. I had a lot of this is hair related, but breakage. And I remember I went to Ryan, I'm like, what happened? He's like, put your hair up in a bun, which I do all the time. He's like, notice that all of the pieces are exactly this length. It's because I was breaking my hair from putting it up in a bun. So I think that some of this must be behavioral. We keep talking about this root cause scalp analysis. I love this. I think this is so important and so wonderful. This is something that you are now doing online. Can you explain to us what this is so that people can access this beautiful, beautiful tool?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. So the first key to a great trichologist is really, we're investigators.
Hmm.
We ask questions and make connections. I'm already in love with your Ryan too. I think he needs to be my best friend, because that exercise he did with you, it's right, making those connections. You as a client, you're not thinking about how your daily mechanical habits impact those hair fibers. So something like the root cause scalp analysis is much more of a initially just asking the right questions, doing the right investigative digging. And through that, I'm able to explain why we have to sometimes ask these very personal, intimate medical questions, so that we're able to make connections. It's a platform that allows you to communicate with me directly, to be able to upload images, and to allow me to either start you on the journey of trying to make those connections and give you some solutions of what scalp and hair issues you may be dealing with. Or sometimes I've found, even more recently, people are coming out for verification to say, hey, I've been diagnosed with this, or I saw a dermatologist or a trichologist, and then I'm able to see where there's some points that may have been missed. So it allows me to interact with my consumer and my client in a way that is intimate, private, and offer solutions, and allows us to establish an ongoing relationship, because you can utilize this platform as you need be. I say anytime we're doing trichology, a follow-up is needed to see if you even gave that client the right direction, or even also
Sure.
that client's bodies or which other shifts are happening. So I always include a complimentary follow-up with my initial, because I am about establishing those connections and relationships. And the goal is to give the client the tools for you to be able to adjust your practices based on what your body is going through as you see fit.
I mean, I feel like, well, there's probably some, listen, there, if you're going through chemo, right, there's going to be some certain instances in which it might be very clear where your hair loss is coming from, where your scalp issues are coming from. But in other cases, it's not going to be. So I feel like, just like going to a dermatologist for acne, right? That's not something that you're going to go once. They're going to give you something that's going to work. It's something that's like a little bit of a trial and error, correct?
Absolutely. And it's multifaceted. It's
Yeah.
because it requires, it's blood, tissue, and cell. Those three components have to be balanced. And the way that we talk about balance on the scalp, we're just really learning and discovering that. Remember, so science is coming to us every day. There's new studies, there's new R&D. The other thing to recognize is that it changes and it fluctuates, and what may be affecting you negatively this week may not be
Right.
affecting you negatively next week. So you
Sure.
have to really shift, or know when to shift, know when to just normalize and stop doing things, because sometimes things are just overactive. You're doing too much.
Right.
Sometimes you're doing too many serums, too many scalp things. That's like this whole skinification thing, right? It's which I believe in, but not for you to be acting as if you need a new 15-step regimen for your scalp. It's
When you
knowing
say
what tools you need.
skinification, by the way, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I love this term. So skinification of your scalp.
Skinification.
Skinification. What is skinification of our scalp?
My definition is the ability to have access to tools that you use as need be for your particular scalp and hair condition. Point I'm saying, I'm a 47-year-old woman. I don't cleanse my skin every day the same way I did when I was in my 30s. In fact, my skin regimen make some people be like, she's doing everything wrong, but I know what works for my skin.
Not your skin looks gorgeous. So whatever you're doing, it
The
is
same
perfect.
thing,
Right.
right?
But
It's knowing that
yeah,
what you
what's right for
need.
it.
Sometimes I don't necessarily need a cream cleanser or an exfoliate. Same thing with the scalp. Sometimes you don't need a detergent-based cleanser, which is a shampoo. Sometimes you can use something that's just water-based with no sulfactant in it, regardless if it's sulfate-free or not. Sometimes I have certain types of hair textures, believe it or not, especially for women of African descent, who really cleanse their hair majority with types of cleansing oils. They don't
Mhm.
even, their hair responds better to that than cleansing with a water-based detergent or cleanser. So skinification to me for scalp is finally in the market. We're creating things that are bigger than a shampoo and a conditioner, because that's not going to fix it. Shampoos and conditioners do not change the game of your scalp and hair health. They are definitely necessary tools, and they can create improvement, and they assist with managing, but those are just one or two steps. Trichology and scalp care is truly a comprehensive approach to dealing with your hair.
Can we talk a lot? Okay, so you're really focused on the scalp. I'm talking a lot about the hair, because at the end of the day, I believe that what we want is that result of better, thicker, fuller, longer hair. Um,
Yes.
there are so many things out there. Can we go through some of them? So, like, let's talk about like supplements, right? So biotin, and everybody has a gummy. And why I was cringing before when you said too much is because I was thinking today, I took a biotin gummy. No, I took plain biotin. Then I took this hair, skin, and nails gum. I mean, I wonder if I'm a Viviscal Pro.
I love.
I
I
love it
mean,
too, but I'm wondering if I took too much stuff today.
no. So remember this as well. Most, and again, I always advise before you begin anything that you're taking internally, I am not a doctor. I don't profess
Right.
to be a doctor. You have to deal and make the relationship with your health practitioners, your general practitioners, whatever your method of dealing with your body and wellness, get them involved before you start supplementing. With
Smart.
that said, as a trichologist, I am trained and am qualified to say, yes, supplements are essential and do play a role for certain hair types and scalp conditions. The other thing we have to start to, I think, identify with hair and beauty is that it's so individual. You cannot go to your girlfriend and say, oh my gosh, like I'm looking at your hair, Amber. It's amazing. What do you do? What do you use? Two different hair types, two different
Right.
textures, two different people.
Right.
Even
Right.
if
Right.
I was a beautiful brunette white girl, still I would be a different white girl. So I
Right. Yeah.
can't, your body's going to need different things in my body. That's the first premise that I think we're talking about. What's too much or what's not enough is you've got to know you. And I think we need to be supportive of each other as women by having conversations and saying, instead of saying, girl, this works, it's amazing, be like, well, for me, because I had like, it's talk about your condition. That way you can say, you know what, I'm a brown girl with these tight little kinks. I don't need to be having the conversation with Amber. And then that won't get in the skew of me buying something out of fear because I want my hair to be silky, long, and shiny like yours.
I'm
So I
obsessed with you,
say,
by the way. I just need, you need a little pat in the back. I love it. I love it for keeping real. And that it is, yeah, I'm obsessed. Keep going.
so
Love
all I'm
you.
saying is that, I think when we're talking about, no, supplements are essential.
So
Biotin,
what, yeah, what are the
biotin,
supplements?
so I believe in a lot of it's anti-inflammatory things. So I love omegas. I love vitamin D. We increase a lot of the vitamin D intake when I am working with clients with, they say, those alopecias. I suffer from an autoimmune disease that causes a type of alopecia that is prominent for women of African descent.
Yeah.
And it's called CCCA. So I get these stress-induced bald spots. Sorry, my
Oh, and that is
um,
like,
and it's
yeah.
the what, I know that's also part of why I'm a trichologist. It runs in my DNA and in my family. And so I've learned how to manage that because I didn't want to be getting cortisone shots for the rest of my life to, help reduce that inflammation. So internal supplements are essential for certain hair conditions and scalp conditions. But again, it's so individual that I know that we like these sound bites. I do say this about biotin. I think I also get pushback from it. Biotin is necessary and it is essential, but most of us are not necessarily deficient in it. So if you're
Right.
not deficient in it, it is necessary to be in ingredients. I totally agree. In those hair supplements, you're all going to find some biotin because they do help supplement and process other active ingredients in those supplements. But we have to stop making biotin be like the magical cure as much as it is a necessary element for healthy scalp and hair. But you want to know where you live in that.
You know, is there and now listen, you can tell me if you don't feel comfortable saying this because as you said, talk to a medical doctor. Is there any danger in taking too much of this stuff as far as you know or have seen?
Certain things can be toxic, but I have not seen, for example, and again, speaking on a body, anything in over excess can be toxic. Even
Right.
all natural things can be toxic. So even about the clean beauty movement, when we put all these conditional like absolutes, we have to stop being, or I have to stop being absolute about beauty and things because everybody's body is
It's
so
different.
uniquely different. So you can cause toxic, too much vitamin A can be toxic, but there's certain things like vitamin D. I've never seen you have to think, I think over 250,000 IUs of vitamin D to be toxic.
Got
They're
it.
just things that are water soluble that the body doesn't build up in. But if you have a certain disease or illness, you have to be mindful of that. So that's why
Right.
it's so important to have that conversation with your doctor or your practitioner.
I mean, I just figured today, like I was like, oh, I had these gummies laying around. Let me tell you. And then I was like peeing neon yellow. So I'm like, this is probably because that's what happens, right? Like it just the body is just like I'm not absorbing it, so out it goes. But yeah, so glad to know that. What about things, I'm hearing a lot more about and I had a friend who this actually worked well for, like things like PRP in the scalp.
Yes. So I do a technique with a plant-based microneedling PRP. I am a big plant-based fan, and I think that I'm very blown away by some of the successes that plant-based growth factors. Human PRP definitely has worked, and it does give people an instant result. But in my practice, I find that if you're not dealing with the internal aspect or the tissue or the blood levels, like are you vitamin deficient? Are you mineral deficient? Are there hormonal imbalances? It really doesn't matter. If you're going to get that instant rush of that hair growth and that follicle, but if the body and the blood are not being complemented and supplemented properly, you're going to end back up at square one.
So it's like a Band-Aid.
It's a
it
Band-Aid.
works,
It's
but
not comprehensive.
yeah.
Anytime you do trichology, you cannot ignore what's going on inside the body. There is really no quick fix unless you supplement and then you're doing your topicals properly, but you've got to get to the root cause.
The root cause of it.
That's the only way you're going to have long-term success.
Got it. The root cause. I just got it. I was thinking like, the roots of your scalp, but the root cause scalp analysis. Wow. Okay. Turn the light bulb off, Amber. What are your thoughts too? I'm just, again, dealing with, and like you said, I'm not meaning to put you on the spot. I think you've made it very, very clear that this is so individual. The body's so individual. So what might be causing your hair loss is going to be different than mine, is going to be different than my husband's, is going to be different than, everybody, one of us listening right now. But we are seeing a lot of these like at-home tools, things like LED, red light therapy. Thoughts?
Love.
Oh,
and
you
I
do? Okay.
them.
Yeah.
I love them. And I say, utilize like skincare, scalp care is skincare.
Yeah.
So, use it. And I love another little just scalp therapist tip. When you apply topicals, if you have a LED light or red light at home, use it on top of your topicals. You're pushing that active ingredient deeper into the follicle. You're helping to reduce inflammation. And it's like a vasodilator. So the scalp responds beautifully. So yes, be curious, use those lights. I love it for the scalp.
Do you have some brands that you can share with us that you like? So in terms of like supplements, I've had some nutritionists on and I've learned, no, not all supplements are created equal. So, as a trichologist, are there certain brands that you like for vitamin supplements, biotin?
So my favorite hair supplement for sure. I would say one of the top ones for Northern for women. I've had a lot of success with that. Viviscal have had success. The thing is with those, you want to make sure that their patented ingredients are primarily fish-based. So for people that have fish allergies or shellfish allergies, you have to be careful. Vitamin D is a game changer for us in trichology, and people really don't recognize that even though our body levels may say that we're normal, if you're on the low end of vitamin D, I guarantee you there's inflammation that is impacting your hair follicle. Many of us do not have enough vitamin D3 stores, and vitamin D is a game changer for what we call inflammatory hair loss, which is what alopecia is.
Yeah.
So vitamin D levels are so important to be on the higher range. And I do suggest a lot of vitamin D supplementation.
Is there a brand you like?
Vitamin D3, there's not a brand that I particularly like.
Right. Yeah, no, listen, I'm not sure, because sometimes you'll be like, this is the one that I found works the best. This is what I use. Okay, fair. And then what about the red light cap? Because I get people who have been asking me a lot, like, is there like, again, all of these things, it's hard sometimes for the regular consumer to know, is it the right wavelength? Is it this? So are there red light caps that you like or that you use with success?
I don't prefer the caps. I love Hair Max. I like the bands and the comb, and Hair Max is an amazing source. They were one of the first to develop technology. Their studies are unbelievable, and I use them in my practice. So I'm a big fan of Hair Max.
And then one of them is a comb. So you're just brushing it through?
One it says is a comb, and then the other ones are bands. So you're just like pushing the band back for the cycles.
Yeah.
Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3 off. And again, use it with the topical, really great results.
So, okay. Speaking of topicals now, because I've also seen a lot of this, like things like Minoxidil. I think there's a lot of people out there who probably, well, first, let me get your thoughts on it before I inject my own. But what are your thoughts on like topical Minoxidil or Rogaine?
I am plant-based. I think plants are magic, some magical science, and not from the place of like being so natural. It's the science, it's the molecular structure of plants. Some plants can be more toxic than the pill that you make and, are formulated in the lab. So I think we have to get away from, like, plants to me are the pure medicinal prescriptions out there that we're just learning how to tap into botany in that way for scalp care. So I say all that to say that prescriptions are needed in some cases. In some cases, they require a combination of the two. I don't use that personally in my practice because I want to master the art of mineral, plant, and body wellness. But I do know there are cases that I may not be able to solve that require a true maintenance of something prescriptive, like a finasteride for men, or Rogaine or Minoxidil. I just know that the body can get results without prescription for the majority of my clients. I cannot say there has been one case other than just the cell tissue. Even prescription would not have been able to help this person. That's the only time that I feel you should go into that prescription market. If you really have maybe you have an autoimmune, or you can't do certain marine life, or you have certain allergies with plants, then there is a space for it. So I'm not going to say that it's all negative things. It's a necessary thing, but that is my last resort to anyone to use a minoxidil or something prescription based.
I always just wonder, because you can get it at the drugstore and it's in the drugstore aisle. And I just sometimes wonder if there's young people out there, or even older people like myself who are like, I want thicker hair, so maybe I should use this, and don't realize that it's something that can initially cause hair loss, from what I understand.
It's a drug. So the thing about minoxidil too, that again, it goes against my professional, personal, my ideology as a trichologist is I want the body to heal. I'm getting to the root causes. That minoxidil is that topical instant gratification sometimes, because it may not even work for you. So you're already putting a drug on your scalp that is going to shift that hair cycle. And you're right, minoxidil is different because you're not fundamentally changing all the cell blood tissue. You're superficially affecting the symptom.
Right.
And then the minute you stop, the hair cycle goes back again. Now that is a normal thing, of course. However, when you really deal with it from a true holistic point of view, from a practitioner, you're addressing your blood, you're addressing your cells, you're addressing your thoughts, you're addressing your diet, we're addressing everything. And of course, anytime you heal the body, it's designed, you're going to encourage the healing, you're going to get the better result for your scalp, thus producing better hair. And I do want to hit one thing, Amber, for people to recognize, like, your beautiful hair outside, once it comes out of the scalp, the hair follicle, I consider that hair fabric. But inside, below the scalp, there is a hair there that's very much alive, that's being built. So we have to remember that when that hair is in that follicle, the scalp is a living organ. The minute it comes out of the scalp, the hair becomes a fabric. So I think that connection also makes people understand the importance of really why scalp care is so necessary.
It is so necessary. Can you give us some things? You're clearly so knowledgeable about this and so passionate about this. I love this. Are there certain tips that you have, that things that we can be doing at home, in general, right? So you mentioned possibly like vitamin D, but are there other tips that you have for things that we could be doing to take better care of our scalps?
I love that. Yes. So even for just the everyday, look, let's say you don't think about your scalp or hair loss because you're one of those lucky few that's like, I don't have that issue. Shampooing is the number one, I think, damaging aspect let me say this because I'm going to get caught up in something and say something I don't mean. Improper shampooing, not based for your specific scalp and hair type, can be the most damaging thing you do for your scalp and hair. Don't disturb your microbiome, which is the organ, all that bacteria. There's a healthy balance of bacteria and fungus that are required to keep our scalps and our hair healthy. We need the body to be able to retain that mixture with its own natural sebum, which is your body's own natural conditioner. Those lipids, those humectants, those cholesterols, those are things we spend a whole bunch of money in to get in topical products like conditioners. So you want to have a healthy balance. And I'm a big believer in pre-shampoo scalp treatments even for the person with the healthiest hair, at least every other week.
Ooh,
What
like
that
what?
does, it exfoliates the scalp. So it's basically giving your body and your scalp a true exfoliation and filled with nutrients in a non-abrasive way. So any kind of fatty acid, some of my favorite topical pre-shampoo oils, like I love the Renee Fritterer Complex 5. It's just one of the ones that no matter what, I always go back to. But it has a cleansing sensation, so you feel that stimulation. You're not overly stripping with something abrasive. And if you don't have a major condition like severe psoriasis or eczema, a true medical condition, it's a great way to give your hair follicle in the hair fiber in the scalp the opportunity to be its most optimum, healthiest fiber built protein. And when you do these pre-shampoo scalp treatments, you train your scalp and your hair fiber to retain those balances. And that's really all we're trying to do. So if people could implement pre-shampoo scalp treatments, I also think people underuse conditioner, even though those of us with very fine Eurocentric straight hair, everybody needs moisture, lipids, and protein. I don't care who you are, just in various degrees. So one of my suggestions, if you have more of a straight Eurocentric hair type, condition your hair dirty. Let the hair get what it wants and then shampoo. Be creative. This is that skinification that we're talking about, like to bring it on home. It's knowing your tools, knowing your body, knowing your hair, and how to make it work for you independently.
You know, sometimes when I used to have dry hair, again, I'm going to give Ryan, I hope he's listening to this. I'm going to send this and make sure, but he'd be like, you know, some of those expensive serums that you're putting on your face, boo, rub them into your head. If like you're having like in the winter, if it's dry, if it's itchy, because that's when I get it. I get it in the winter time. And now there's so many products for that, but he's like, just take a little bit of it, you know, not the retinols, but like the moisturizing, the hyaluronic acid ones, and just kind of.
I'm telling you, I want him to be my BFF. He would be,
He
yes.
is the best. Yes, I know.
Yes,
Well,
hyaluronic acid is one of the best things for just general scalp health. It's going to attract moisture. It's going to keep the microbiome just lipid and like really just, pulsating with just hydration. And it helps get all of those scaly, flaky dryness, because a lot of it, like you said, it's seasonal. And then we think like, oh my gosh, it's dandruff or something extreme. And then we throw the microbiome off because we go get some anti-flake shampoo that you don't necessarily need because you're not dealing with a dandruff problem. You're dealing with just a dry scalp problem. Two different things.
I'm blown away. You know, and I hope everybody listening is too. I think that the one thing I'm hoping that people get out of this, number one, besides your just incredible positivity, thank you for this great way to end my week.
Thank you.
Is also that, listen, this is an individual problem, or an individual, your concerns will be individual, but there is help if you take the right steps. And what we're hearing really, or what I'm hearing, is the right steps, or you have to have this holistic view. So having access to somebody, God bless the internet, right? I can't even believe I just said that, but the internet for good is something like you, with this root cause scalp analysis. With this tool, can you quickly run us through like what the consultation would be?
Yes. So when you go into the profile, depending on how you answer the questions, you're going to go through a question journey. I see these, see your profile, see your images, and I personally go through and review these images and create a written report just to get my head wrapped around what I'm looking at before I meet you. So I'm already giving you, hey, based on the thing is I'm asking specific questions. I'm asking you about your medical condition. I'm asking you, even disturbing and not great things, like the kind of any traumas in your life, from pregnancies, miscarriages, any therapy or drug therapies you're on. So you do have to divulge a lot, because remember, it's your body that is making this hair that we obsess over. So once you go through that, you get a written report that's emailed to you, and you schedule a one-on-one consultation where I go through the report. A lot of times on these reports, there's more information that I need. So I ask the client to kind of present more information. And then I put together a regimen and a solution for you. Like, these are the products that I believe are going to be best for you. these are the things that I think you need to be doing. Come back to me in 90 days. Let's see where you're at. We'll make those adjustments. And then develop this relationship where you know that you always have access through your profile to me and my team and our wealth of knowledge on how we are guiding people to understand their individual concerns regarding their scalp and hair.
I love this. So just like your PCP, just like your dentist, just like your dermatologist, you can add a trichologist, somebody who's going to be on a journey, and keep in mind that these things take a little bit of time, right? A little bit of patience, but there is hope. I've seen it.
Your body will heal. Remember, it's not that we're doing magic. It's we're just putting all the right pieces together to let the body do its job, because your body wants you to have the great hair that you had when you were, look, it does. We cannot deny the reality of existing longer and being longer on this earth.
Right.
But your DNA is there. If you had thick hair, the quality is my hair is not going to be what it was at 15, but
right.
It can be the most amazing, healthy hair for the 40-year-olds. So yeah. That's all we want to do, and give you tools to manage these conditions where they're not driving. You're not being so overwhelmed by flakes or embarrassing issues, because you have all the right tools and the right systems and routines to manage it and to keep it under control.
And let's be honest, if you're not doing it, if that's stressing you out, and then you're going out because you're stressed because you think everybody's looking at the patches, I've been there. I feel you. And I get that. That's just furthering the problem. You are just continuing that cycle of issues with that stress. Bridget.
A woman. That is such an A woman quote. And we need to repeat when you stress over it, you just exacerbate. So we want to let you know we're not a place from fear. Like there are things out there. There are great trichologists out there. There are even great dermatologists that specialize with hair and scalp. But you want to make sure that they're asking you the right question and doing the front end investigative work.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's like your detective meets like a therapist.
Yes.
Meets like a hair queen. I love it. I love it. I love it. Bridget, if people want to know more about you, if they want to reach you, if they want to do your root cause scalp analysis, where can they go?
So you can find me at rootcausescalpanalysis.com. Also visit me on my website, bridgethill.com. And on Instagram, I'm at the Scalp Therapist.
I love this. And you're located where's your home base?
So my home base is at the Paula Breck Salon in Palm Beach, and I will hopefully be returning into the New York property, hopefully the top of the year, because I'm typically there a week a month. So if everything goes well, the pandemic, as you know, we all are figuring out how to realign our practices with our clients to keep everyone safe and healthy. But yes, my goal is to be reemerging in the New York City, the top of the year, but Palm Beach, I am here for dates in November and December. So
amazing. So if people want to come see you in person, they can do that.
Absolutely. Cool. Yes.
And for everybody else, you can do this virtual consultation.
You can find me at the Root Cause Scalp Analysis, the one and only. I'll be right there to help you.
I absolutely love that. And I know so many people right now are saying, thank you for doing this. I want to thank you so much for being on. This has been so much fun.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. We'll come back. We could talk about hair all day, all times. If you at home listening right now have questions you want me to pass on to Bridget, I'm always happy to do that. You can write me at hello@ArtBeautyPodcast. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and here on YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.